Making chatbots is as easy as using kids' building blocks. Let me show you how. What I'm about to show you and your team is going to be so simple you'll be amazed. And best of all, it's all done with simple building blocks on the screen. Anyone can do this. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use ConversioBot as a chatbot builder. It's a fantastic package. It's designed for small businesses. It was actually designed by an affiliate marketer for affiliates, but it works for any small businesses. It's so simple to use and highly cost effective. Let's go and have a look at it. Let's start with a rundown of the home screen or the dashboard as it is when you land on it. The eagle eyed amongst you will notice it says ConversioBot, not ConversioBot. It is the same package. This is just a different version of it that I'm currently showing. Works exactly the same, so don't worry about that. Dashboard. Clearly on here shows all the channels you can open up on this side, all the menu per tree. From the various detailed training and the bots and channels that you've got and data analytics, support, all the information you need down one side. On the main front page, you've got the account details, how many conversations you've got left. This is an important thing to keep an eye on. Conversations you buy, and each time someone responds to a bot, that uses up a conversation. As they get depleted, you can go and add more to it. Scrolling down further, depending on the package you've got, it shows the different products that you've got active or added to your package. In ConversioBot, the big difference there is they've added the affiliate section, which isn't in here. When you've got elements active, it shows up as purple. I've got ConversioBot Pro, I've got ConversioBot Extreme, and I've got Facebook bots open here too. Scrolling down, it shows you a few of the bots you've got open, but I'll show you where we get those in more detail in a moment. ConversioBot Extreme is the element that gives you full page landing bots. Done for You Pro gives you access to over 100 predefined templates that you can just go in and clone. Auto Chatbot Builder allows you to send off some details of what your chatbot you want to be built, and you fill in a form basically, and it comes back and builds a chatbot for you. I'd say agency license, if you want to set up as an ad agency selling chatbots. I mean, you can still sell these chatbots anyway, but if you want some more options available, then there's this agency license which increases the I think it gives you the Done For You Pros as well, but it gives you some more information. Obviously, WhatsApp bot, it's bots go on WhatsApp, and human handover allows you to perform a handover to humans if you need it. For today's purposes, I'm going to be doing a website bot, so we're just looking at ConversioBot Pro and ConversioBot Extreme. Now then, to access the bots, I need to go to My Bots on the side, so I'm going to click that open, and I'm going to click on Website Bots. And as I mentioned before, this brings up a list of all the bots that I've made, whether they're just for testing or whether they're actually a live bot on the website. Some of these might be turned off, for example, just while I test certain elements. But we now want to build a new bot. So we click on the Build a New Bot box. And for the purposes of today, I'm going to call it Test. If I can type. And we're going to add it to a folder. So I'm going to put it in a folder called Test for today's purposes. But if you create folders and then use those, you can keep your bots organized, and they're much easier to find when you need them later on down the road. So I'm going to hit Create. And here we're into the first elements of building our very first chatbot. It's a blank page. There's nothing on there. It literally is just a completely blank screen there. And I go ahead and I add a block. And this is the start of the Lego building blocks, or the digital building blocks, as we call it. And it is that easy. Now, the first block, as you can see, has the black node at the top, meaning it's the start. In the few moments, we'll see the end one. And you see it has the black node at the bottom, meaning end. So on this, if we double click it, it opens up the bot and what it contains. And the default is a standard welcome text, which isn't particularly nice, but that is the default as it comes up. So we'll just change that quickly to, I'm going to put a simple hi there, a little bit more friendly, and that's it. The time set to 2. It's a little bit slow for just a short couple of words like that, or a couple of very short briefs. So I'm going to drop that down to 1 second so it pops up fairly quickly. You can adjust the time depending on how long, how short you want it. It's meant to, sort of pretend to be typing is what you're aiming for there. How long it would take a person to type it out. Generally, you aim for a little bit quicker the bot because you can respond to it quicker. So it's a better way to do that. The other important thing is to keep anything you put in these boxes as short as you can. So when it's on the screen, it doesn't get too long and extracted. You don't want to be sitting there putting paragraphs and paragraphs of information in. So very short, brief sentences, just like when you're in a conversation. I can add a video file in there too. So there's different options there for making the bot even more interactive that way. The image is also can be a GIF, an animated GIF, and they're very useful for this, as we'll see in a moment. Okay, so now we've got our first thing, and I want to add a second box, and I want to say something along the lines of thank you for clicking our advert. Something like that. And you notice I just hit add, and that added the new box in there. And again, I would just drop that down, maybe 1.5 if you want it quite quickly. Now for this one, I'm going to do a quick subscribe to a weight loss campaign. It's nothing complicated. I'm not going to go anything else. It's just going to be a very simple, short conversation. Obviously, if you're doing this for real to put it out there in the big chatbot world, you might want to take a bit more time thinking about the different elements. I'm just trying to give you an idea of how simple this software is to use and how quickly you can build a chatbot, and anyone can do this. So I'm going to add my next one in. I'm going to put in there a question to start with. Have you tried losing weight before? Okay, a little bit longer, so I'm going to leave that at the 2 seconds. And what I'm also going to do then is I'm going to add an image here. So all I would do here is I will go and find an image. And let's just say I'm going to use Giphy for this one. So let's see what Giphy has for weight loss. I quite like Garfield. For the purpose of this one, we'll do that. And we'll just pop that in there. And hit continue. Okay, so now we've got 4 boxes. One of them has got a little Giphy graph there in there. So now what we need to do, we need to put a response in because we've asked some questions. So we now need to get the user to input a response. So we then click on user response. And here we're presented with a variety of different options that we can use. There's no input, obviously, which we don't want that. We could ask them to type in some text, which we'd normally use if you're doing emails. We'll come on to that in a moment. You've got buttons, which is what we're going to use here. There's an option called cards. Cards are an information board that you've got that you can put on the chatbot, and it may contain an image or a small video and have some product information, prices, all that kind of thing. And you can have multiple cards that they can scroll through that allows the user to select a product or specific option from there. Star rating, obviously, you would use for feedback. Social sharing, page redirection, again, another useful tool which we'll use at the end. This allows you to send the bot off to an external page, which is the product you obviously want to send them to. File upload, if you'd ask them to upload a file for the purposes there. Date pickers, there's time pickers, there's autofill. Autofill is a list of options you can have, so they would 3 or 4 different things they can pick up. There's appointments, there's locations, and so on and so forth. It's really powerful here. For this purpose, we're going to use buttons, and the reason we use buttons is in any conversation, particularly if you think someone using a mobile phone, buttons is the easiest thing for them to press when they're on the mobile phone. So use buttons as often as you can. Try and keep it as simple as you can for the user. That's what's keeping them engaged. That's what gets them interested. Okay, so now we want to, I'm just going to leave the defaults as they are for the moment, but I'm going to put the option 1 is going to be yes. I'm going to put that as an option there. I'm going to put no, just so you can see the difference in the trees. And we'll click the legal consent. You'd need to fill in your privacy policy and your policy links, etc. in there with that. I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being, because I'm not going to put it in for this test piece, but you would, if you've got that on your website, you just put all your details in there, and then we hit continue. And that's our first box made. So then we'd hit save. And what that's done is that's now added two nodes to the bottom of this particular block. Okay, and if I hit preview, you can see the bot as it comes up. And there you go, that's that information in there, just like that. How cool is that? You can do that, can't you? Of course you can. Okay, so let's add our second screen. Okay, so the second screen is going to be from yes, and then we've got a no as well. So we need two blocks this time. Okay, so the first one is going to be our yes. So what we'll do is we'll change that one to yes. And we'll change that one to no, just so we know where they are on the page. And then we link that. So we literally just drag that node across there like that. And the same with that one there. And look at that, we're building a tree. It's a conversation tree. It literally is that simple. Okay, but now we've got to go and fill in the content. So we go back to the bot and we open that up. And again, it always starts with this welcome, which obviously we don't want here. So this was yes. Have you tried weight loss before? This is yes. So we would write something in here along the lines of, that's great. You are not alone. Many of us have. Something like that. Okay. And we need to go on to what we're going to offer. So we think you'll find our diet interesting. Meanwhile, I have received it, and I can't spell. There we go. So I've quickly then done a few options there, and just a little story or a little chat, little conversation, just to get it going. I'll just edit the time in a bit. I'm going to drop that one down to 1.5, gone the wrong way. And we'll drop that down to about 1. So we'll leave it like that. So there we go. We've got a short conversation, short chat, and we need another user response. So we would hit buttons again. Yes. No. Continue. And then save. And lo and behold, we've now got 2 nodes out of this one. Okay. And we do the same for the other tree going down the other side. We build a no column with a list of responses down there. For the purpose of today, I'm just going to continue with the yes column because it's much easier. But I need to drag that out of the way now. We need to add another block. And we're bringing this down. And you'll see what's going to happen here. Again, that'll become our no. And this will become yes. I'm going to change that to yes, free gift. No, free gift. Okay. As I say, for the purpose of this, I'm just going to keep going down this one column just so you get the gist of the one column. So we need to add some text into this one here. I'm going to put, great, thanks. can I take your email address? And so this box, we now need to get them to input their email address. So we would go into here and we choose this time around the text option. And then we get some more options here to start adding in. So then we would add in email address. So it brings up a pre-formatted set of screens. You can have it no case at all. So just whatever they type in. If you want to capitalize each word, lowercase, uppercase, however you want to do it. I would leave that as a default for this particular one. There are some occasions where having the capitalization, like when you're entering names, is quite good. It just tidies it up a little bit, but I would leave as it is. We'll enter validation. Validation just confirms it is an email address or looks like an email address. Obviously, it can't confirm if it's 100% accurate, but it looks and has the format of an email address, i.e. Start, the @ sign, a name, and a .com at the end. So it looks in that format. You've got the option to allow users to skip this again. I wouldn't do it here because they've consented they're going to do that. They want it as a free gift, so I would leave that as it is. But that is another option you can use if you wanted to bypass this form. And then hit continue. I will drop the time down there. I just spotted that. You could again add another image if you wanted to make it more interesting, but I'm just going to show you this thing. So we've now got them to enter their email address. We now need another block. So we bring another block down. It only scrolls down when you get down a bit further. You have to sort of keep pushing it down like that, but that's fine. You're going to connect this here and then this one. They're asking here for the first name. You could actually do this the other way around, and I could have put then, if I'd got the name first, I could have put a field in there to say thanks and then their name using the field from the last block. Makes it a bit friendlier. Good way of doing it. There's no right and wrong way. I've just chosen to do it this way around on this occasion. So again, we'd add a user response. We'd go for the text file. We'd choose, and this time we can either go for the full name or we can go for the first name. I'm going to leave it as the first name. I'm going to capitalize each word. I personally think it looks a bit smarter, so I'll leave that in there. The validation doesn't really apply, but I'll leave that on there anyway. And we'll hit continue. I'll just drop that down 1.5 again, and we'll hit save. One thing I didn't do there actually is I didn't change that to name. Again, it's just so we can keep an eye on the blocks. And the other reason for doing this, and I've not really named them particularly well here, but when someone completes the blocks later on and you assign which fields you want to be emailed about, or to know that someone's completed a session, you can define which block triggers that notification. And obviously, if you want to keep an eye on statistics and to see which blocks are working and which ones aren't, because after a while you will see a pattern and see that some questions put people off or whatever. Having an appropriate name can help you identify which block it is you need to then go into and adjust accordingly. So that's why we give them names, but you would really need to name them better than I've done here, but I've just done this for the purposes of this tutorial. So I now need another block after that. So we've assumed they've given their names. Scrolling down here to get this underneath. Do we join those two up? Get the node. Tricky little devil. And then we'll change that one to, I'm going to call this end. You actually set your email. The free gift will be with you shortly. Okay, so something along those sort of lines anyway. Now then, what I can do here is obviously the premise of this was they responded to an advert and came to an advert, so presumably they came to access something, unless you had this as a subscribe from somewhere. So you could have a response where you could actually redirect them to another page. So you'd simply type in there the URL of the page you wish to redirect them to. You can put in a delay so the message stays on the screen for you know, 3 to 4 seconds. You don't want to do it too long, very important. And then off it would go. You could also in here just have it to end chat. So if we put that to end chat and I hit I don't know, see you soon or something like that. Again, you can add a redirect here as well, so you could take them back to your home page or to a sales page or wherever. So there's plenty of options in here to move around. I'll leave this as it is for the minute. I'm not going to put a redirect in there, but I'll leave that as it is like that. And you'll see, and the main reason I wanted to do this was you'll see that that now has put the black box at the bottom telling you that's an end. Bring it up there. It's not there. It's the end of the chat. Now what you would normally do then is go back and fill all these elements in here. So you've got your trees and your conversational flows, which is obviously the purpose of it. But hopefully you get the gist. So now we'll go back, we'll do another preview. So this is where we got to last time. It didn't go anywhere, but now it does. So we can hit yes and look at that. Oh, it's asked me another question, which as you will know, it's asked me, you know, you'll find our diet interesting. It's normally worth $49, blah, blah, blah. Would you like to receive it? I would hit yes. And it's then going to ask me for an email address. I'll just put some nonsense in here. And yeah, do that. And you can see it's capitalized the first initial of my name, which I think you'll find is just looks a bit neater. And that's it. It's got the details and it said goodbye. And as I say, you could have it redirect or whatever at this point. So as you're building it, you can check it, make sure it's working using this preview screen, and you can see the basics of the bot is starting to come together. Okay, so that's the constructing the bot. You've got to admit that's pretty cool and pretty simple, isn't it? It's just building blocks on a page. It's so simple. Obviously, you know, you need to plan it out before you start and sit down, make sure you know you map out where you wanted to go, what you wanted to do, but the essence of it is there. Okay, so now we've got a basic bot where we want to tidy it up a little bit. We want to make it look a bit smarter. So then we click along here to the design tab, and this is where you get a bit more fluffy with it, if you like. So in here we've got things. I'm not going to do every single box in here because there's a lot of stuff to go into, but I'll cover it very quickly for you. Let's start with the most obvious one, and that's the bot design. And the important one for the minute, just by the by kind of thing, is the icons. Now at the minute it's set to this little chap here. It looks smart enough, but a bit too cartoony for me. You've got various faces built into this. There's a whole range of them in there. More cartoons. Cool dude. Some robots. And on it goes. But you can add your own. This is what's really cool. So you can actually click on that, select an image, so you can put in an animated GIF at this point. You could even make a little animation of yourself pointing, or you know, if you want to have if you're doing it for a customer support department, for example, and you want to have one of your customer support staff, so the people can see genuinely who they're talking to, you could have a headshot of them, or even a moving GIF of them, you know, pointing to click here or whatever, just to make it more entertaining. I've had a little robot on one. I've had a guy on a keyboard typing away, you know, I want to take your message kind of thing. I've used different things over a period of time. Having a bit of movement on the initial screen can make a bit of a difference. It does make it stand out from the normal pop-up chat boxes in the corner. You know, having someone moving around can be quite good. But as you can see, there's quite a variety in there. You know, we could just quickly change it. You need to change both because you need to change the start and the content one. So make sure you do both at the same time. It looks a bit odd if the two are different. So I always click on them there and then. You've also got some positioning you can have on here. The full page, but I tend to leave in the center. Oh, you can see, sorry, the head's already updated on the screen. Any changes you make here get reflected over here. I should have said that. Overlay text. The overlay text is when you've got a bot appear as a pop-up message bot, that this is what gets your attention. So you might want to type it on here. Do you want to chat. I mean, I wouldn't put that up there as a thing, but you can see I've created this box at the side here, which would appear in a pop-up chat, which is obviously useful on the screen. And you can have a secondary overlay, which is after they've completed the chat, that says goodbye. So I would say just put goodbye, and that could be whether they finish the chat or they just close the link if they don't want to chat anyway. You can change this notification, so you know, if you wanted that to look like there was 3 messages waiting, it's just meant to mimic the message you get on your WhatsApp or your Messenger bot or whatever. It's just a thing there. Obviously some CSS if you want to do some custom stuff. Okay, so that's the premise of the headshot, if you like. You can of course change the font as well, make it bigger, change there isn't dozens of fonts in there, but you can change that if you want something a bit more interesting. First opinion is keep it simple from that one. You can change the shape of the bots, and perhaps the more important one is you can change the layout of the chat itself. Now I personally like to have the text darker, and the reason for that is people who've got haven't got 20/20 vision may struggle on screen with the way it's kind of phased out there. So by making the text darker, you improve that for them. The sub message text is this little text underneath. You can change that if you wish. I don't know how important that is. It doesn't seem that important to me at this time. And then you can change the button color. So this is the response color, if you like, and it changes all these. Again, you can move that around and change that to different colors. You know, if you've got a brand or a page color scheme you're trying to adhere to, you can do that. And then lastly, you can change the background color. So at the minute it's a solid color, which is white. You can actually change the color to again, you know, something else to compete with the pink. What will clash with that? I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. I wouldn't actually. Terrifying. You can even add a gradient, which can work quite well. There's some options in here. Some of these look okay. And then finally, you can actually add an image at this point. So if you've got a graphic or some branding information, you would need to create that in somewhere else to start with. And as long as it's 1920 by 1080, that's the minimum size you want to get on the screen. That would work, and I think that's fine. So that's a basic premise of adjusting the bot itself. I'm going to just put that back to a solid color for the moment, and I'm going to put it back to, I'm going to give it a mild gray for the purpose of this. So that's design. We then move on to the settings page. Okay. Obviously, we've given this bot a name of test. You can change that here if you want. I've got the option here of putting in custom domain. That's a domain that I've got for creating a landing page bot. A landing page bot is a full page bot that you would send someone to, and it would have the bot highly visible on the screen. There's very little else around, maybe a couple of graphics, maybe a branding image. So that the main purpose of it replaces a landing page for an affiliate type link. But it's actually useful for a number of businesses if you want try and get to the hub of what the person wants very quickly. I find that very useful. You can put in a favicon image, so as you know, at the top of the page, next to the URL, your little logo appears, and you can put in some image there that you use for describing. It contains some meta information for Google, but also it's just another image, if it's shared on social media, etc. So it draws attention to it, a bit like a YouTube thumbnail. The more important features are a bit further down the page. Auto close chatbot in the end, you can set that to go yes. You can, if this has been put onto a website and embedded in a website, you can, if you put it using a single line of code onto the website, it appears across every page on your on that particular website. So by using these boxes here, you can remove it from some, or you can have it show up on some, depending which way you want to do it. There is also, I should point out, a WordPress plugin for this, which makes all this a lot easier if you've got a WordPress website, which is quite good. Scrolling down a little bit further, we've got something called a delayed bot. So when you've got the pop-up chat in the bottom right hand corner, and you want a delayed bot, so if someone's been on the page for a couple of seconds, that it pops up and answer, you would click on that particular box there, and you change the time, and it would auto open on a mobile as well. The other really cool one here is what we call an exit bot. That one is if they plan to leave the page, so you know when they move the mouse off the page, it starts to pop up and go, hey, I'm not finished yet, come back. And to be fair, I'd probably use a slightly different bot on that occasion to the main one, so you can have two bots running and have it be then the second bot that pops up on an exit. But that's just how I would do that one. Sound, obviously there is some sound built in where it goes do 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 as you enter it, which you would get on a mobile phone. And this is where we would go into the email notifications. So this is where you would link your autoresponder. Again, as I mentioned before, depending on which blocks were accessed. So I would also go for the email. So I'd have it as soon as they enter an email, I would get an instant response. And I would send that to my main email address. You can send it elsewhere as well. But this is where you set the triggers. So as you can see, as we were creating those blocks, and I was giving them names, you can now start to see the names in here. And as I say, I didn't name them particularly well. I probably need to name them better. Naming them better than I do, you would identify that. So I would know as soon as they enter that, or indeed enter their name, because that's the one subsequent to the email, that as soon as I get the information, I get an email sent to me to say, hey, someone's just had a look at your chatbot. It's kind of useful to know. And this is where you'd send it to your autoresponder. There is a whole batch of autoresponders already built in. So if you go to here, there's settings for all these already built in. If you've got an autoresponder that isn't listed here, then you can use Zapier to create a create a link and set up an autoresponder, to set up to your autoresponder that way. But I think most of the big ones are already in here, and they do keep adding to these as they go along. It'd just be a case of working your way through the different settings. You can see I've already set up a few to test them, and it works quite well. And then when you're back in the settings page, I'll have to go back to that. You can set which autoresponder you want to use in there, and then which campaign. If you've got different campaigns in autoresponder or different segments, depending on what they call it, you can set those up in there accordingly. And again, set the goal as to which one triggers that action. Off it goes. In terms of tracking and monitoring, you've got Google Analytics, you've got Facebook Pixels. There's lots of data and analytics built into this system, which is quite useful. Keep an eye on what's going on, and you tend to see if a certain question is making people leave or quit, then you might need to go in and tweak and adjust those. So it's useful that way, just to keep track of it. So that is the settings page. Lots of useful stuff. Once you set all those parameters, you would go through to publish. You can see here now we've got this single line of code, which is a script on this one. You've got it as an embedded code here, depending which way you want to do it. But effectively, you'd put this script in the header on your website. If you don't have access to your website, I'm sure your web developer or your web host will help you with that. But that one line of code in the right place will add this bot to whichever website you wanted to add it onto. Or indeed, you could use the iframe code here to embed it onto the page itself. So literally that's it. Once you've built it, it's that one line of code. So there's no other coding, unless you want to do some of the HTML in some of the fields. You can do that if you want, but you don't have to. It's all there. That's the only bit of code you need, is that one line there. And that's how it works. It literally is as simple as that. Anyway, that's building a bot. That is the features of the bot, and it literally is that cool. How to build a chatbot? It's really simple. The software could not be any simpler. There's no coding, no fancy stuff to learn. It's literally going through step by step. It's like the building blocks you get as a kid, just a digital version. Anyway, I hope you found this really useful. I hope you now understand that building chatbots isn't a monstrosity. It is actually very, very basic if you've got the right package. And the right package is ConversioBot. I'll tell you what, the links are in the description. Go and take a look and let me know what you think. We'll see you again soon. Take care.